Hello, and welcome to Britain's only late-night movie talk show. I'm your host, Stephen Wood. And speaking of Britain, tonight we're going to be talking about none other than Ridley Scott. He was born there. That's right. November 30th, 1937. That's right. He's quite old. Welcome back to the show. Joining me tonight will be my teleprompter, Rick. So let's begin and talk about Ridley Scott's early childhood life. His father, a member of the Corps of Royal Engineers, did not push him into the military, but rather encouraged him to pursue his creative side, and thus he attended the London Royal College of Art. From there, he was a trainee with BBC, but was unsatisfied with his work. He then created his own ad agency in 1967, called Ridley Scott Associates. There, he was involved for 10 years and was extremely successful. In the 70s, he also worked with David Putnam, and together they created a successful film called The Duelists. Later, the smash hit that was Star Wars inspired him to create some sci-fi stuff, and so was born the British television show Doctor Who. His passion for Star Wars also prompted him to take up a small, low-budget movie that many of you may have heard of. It was called Alien, and it came out in 1979. That also happens to be one of the movies that I watched, and that's why we're going to be talking about it now. A. Alien today is considered by many to be a classic, and is loved by sci-fi and horror fans alike. At the time, it was highly regarded, and firmly planted the seeds for Ridley Scott's success in the movie. The movie is characterized by high-straining music that sets the viewer on edge. Even more notably than the music, however, is the lighting. The viewer is rarely treated to a set that is fully lighted, with the exception of the chestburster scene, which is very famous and very memorable. Thus, we never clearly know what exactly is going on, as many of the characters are in shadows, and even more rarely is the alien, who is always in shadows, and is really scary. A final notable feature of Scott's directing is the camera run, where we as the viewer feel as if we too are running from something. It all makes for a very scary and very good horror fantasy. Let's put this on pause for a second now and take a look. So as you can see, the movie's very good, very suspenseful thriller. So it's so scary that this is what I looked like when I was watching the movie. It's okay, Moose Pillow. Moose Pillow. Overall, I really enjoyed Alien. And if you're wondering, this is Moose Pillow. He cuddles with me when I'm scared. Don't judge me. Another movie that Ridley Scott directed was called Blade Runner, and it's now a cult classic. However, I didn't really enjoy it. Let's take a look of me watching that movie. Yep, we're back. However, while I found Blade Runner to be extremely boring, most people today do not think so. It is regarded as one of the most important science fiction works in the history of motion pictures. This reputation, however, was not the immediate response, as it received mediocre reviews from critics at the time that it was released. The movie is characterized by many of the same features seen in Alien. Lighting is used very sparingly to provide a very dark view of a futuristic city. Also, the final scene has the same feeling of suspense in that the main character is being hunted through dark passages, but the difference, I feel, is that the antagonists are an interesting idea, but poorly executed, and thus not very scary or memorable in my mind. These two movies are hardly the only movies that Ridley Scott has directed. He has had a couple of letdowns, such as Legend in 1989, but overall, his movies are very well received by critics. Some of my personal favorites that I watched include Gladiator, that won Best Picture, and Black Hawk Down. Both films are ones that I highly recommend. Overall, critics and co-workers describe his work as gripping and intense. His style of lighting and music are extremely well regarded, and I personally noted the theme of survival that occurred in almost all of his movies, from Alien to Blade Runner, Prometheus to Gladiator. Thus, I really enjoyed his movies and would recommend them to anyone. So, thank you all for watching Britain's late night movie talk show.